Harry may think that he loves Meghan because he wouldn't want to admit to himself.
So tell me about Harry's anger, because I think it's a big, big problem.
Meghan is a bad girl, and Harry got trapped by a bad girl and a gold digger bad girl. He got totally manipulated, taken advantage of by this witch.
Hey, yikes! It is the biggest booking in the history of the Mark Dolan Show. America's psychiatrist, Dr. Carole Lieberman, has exclusively told this show that Meghan Markle is, and I quote, a witch. In a fascinating interview in just a few moments' time, she breaks down the toxic dynamic of Harry and Meghan's relationship and makes a shocking prediction about the future of their union. So much to get through, but of course daily videos from the United States on a US road trip. Today we're in Colorado. We're at the town of Del Norte, which is very close to the Rio Grande National Park. So before we get to Dr. Carole and her incredible royal truth bombs, cameraman John, let's have a look at this beautiful natural environment.
Well, if you need a hand to carry a load, I'm here to let you know you can put that on me. When that old hurricane is starting to blow, I've always got a home where you can come be. Oh, because I ain't afraid of a little weather. We can make it together.
Dr. Carole Lieberman, America's psychiatrist, such a privilege to have you on the Mark Dolan Show. Can I ask for your professional verdict, your professional appraisal of the relationship between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? Can you break down the dynamics of that relationship? What's going on?
Yes. Well, as I think you know, when we were talked before, I've always said that they're going to get divorced. What changes is, you know, what's going on at the particular moment that would be pro or con. But I think in the end, they're going to get divorced. Now, this is why, well, first, let me just say the reasons why that are holding them together, the things why they're not getting divorced just yet. First of all, they can't afford it. They don't have very much money, so neither one of them wants to have even less. Second of all, for Harry, you know, he, of course, remembers the most traumatic event of his life with his mother dying and not having a mother, and essentially in some ways not even having a father because he was off, you know, having an affair. And so he doesn't want that to happen to his children. So if to the extent that they don't get divorced, I mean, until they get divorced, what's holding him is because he doesn't want to have happen to his children the trauma, you know, that happened to him.
And yeah, go on. I don't want to interrupt because all of this is gold. Keep going, Carole.
Okay. On her side, I used to say that I thought she might have an affair with you know, a good-looking, famous Hollywood actor, and that's still a possibility. But I think now it would be more than an actor. What she cares about more is someone who is high up in, like, on a television station or a movie production company or something, somebody who can, you know, make her a star again. Now, if she had an affair, obviously I think Harry would divorce her unless the children, you know, again kept him through that. And her, also another reason why she's not filing for divorce just yet is because Harry is royalty, and the only thing that makes her consequential at all is his being royalty. I mean, if she lost that, you wouldn't know, you would never hear about her, unless she was doing some outrageous kinds of things, like doing porn, which I wouldn't put past her if she, you know, if she was that desperate to get into the public eye again.
God forbid she enters the adult movie industry. She's such a terrible actress. She couldn't pretend to be having a good time.
That's right. That's right. About Harry going to the UK, or the whole family going to the UK, you know, it is reported that Harry was buoyed, you know, that he felt really good. And of course, it kind of makes sense that finally he got to see his father again, and they got to show off their children, his Charles' grandchildren, and I'm sure that made the king very happy, as well it should have. I mean, as well they should have done, shown him the grandchildren. I mean, we don't know how long he's going to live, although he looks pretty good these days. But anyhow, so there's that. So the UK would accept Harry back, even though the book Spare was horrible and the interview with Oprah was horrible. But I think, especially if he keeps doing things, charitable like things, they would eventually, all of us, after filing that lawsuit, needing security, all of a sudden now he went back and the whole family went back and they didn't really have security. Love for the, normal, totally. His father, his brother, Kate, doesn't really give him enough love unless a camera's going. I mean, we see her in public pawing him. Remember, I used to always talk about that. Remember that? Well, she still does. Pawing him, hugging him, touching him in some way. But, I don't know how much touching or anything else goes on when they're at home alone and there are no cameras. So he's really hungry for the love of his family and the love of his friends. And he really, misses being back in the UK. I mean, that's home. So I would be happy for him if he went back. Now, the only fly in the ointment is Meghan. When she comes, even bringing children and all that, nobody likes her. I shouldn't say nobody. There are people who like her, who missed her, who want to see what she's doing, but not in the same way as Harry. And not, she's become inconsequential in England as well as in America. And so I don't know that they have as much hate for her as they once did, because they don't care as much as they once did. So that's kind of that.
Now, Dr. Carole, I've reported a story from Closer magazine that Meghan is digging her heels in about the family spending more time in the United Kingdom and Harry re-entering the royal fold. If that's the case, why do you think Meghan might be resisting that? Why do you think she's reportedly doubling down on their life in California?
Well, for one thing, I think she's hoping that she is still going to be able to be a star here and do projects that, for Netflix or somebody, but she's really dreaming because she's like burning bridges all over the place. She made this video, movie or whatever one wants to call it, about Girl Scouts selling cookies, and apparently a cat movie did better than her. So she's, but she hasn't given up. She's maybe hoping to go back as an actress in something, if not as a producer for more shows. So I think she hasn't let go of that dream. And going back to the UK would put it would stall that. Now, I mean, there is a possibility, I guess, that somebody in the UK, some British producer, might want to do something with her. I don't know.
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Now, you are an elite-level psychiatrist. You are America's shrink and a legend in your field, Dr. Carole. What is your appraisal of Meghan Markle's personality type? What kind of human being are we dealing with here in Meghan Markle?
She has a mixed personality disorder. Narcissistic, histrionic, maybe some other things thrown in, but those are the two main.
Can you I think we know, don't we? We've got a good sense of what a personality based around narcissistic traits looks like. You're never wrong. It's all about yourself. You're pathologically selfish and transactional. There's the love bombing, and then there's the withdrawal of affection. The whole thing is a mask. It's a construct, probably as a result of childhood trauma. So I think we've got a handle on what narcissistic traits look like. What about the histrionics? Can you explain that to us?
Yes, they're very closely related. Histrionic is usually it's actresses, you know, who are histrionic. It's someone who wants to draw attention to themselves all the time. Now that's similar to narcissism, but they do this, you know, with their clothes. They do this with their way of speaking. They do this with certain behaviors that they do to you know, something to draw attention, like something different, something that people, they particularly want to be admired, not just to get attention, but to be admired. So she has all of that as well. And
well, I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'll give you an example. Not just the endless photographs that she posts on Instagram, not just all of the interviews and the podcasts and the TV shows, but just recently, Dr. Carole, we had a photo drop on Instagram of Meghan in a very, very tight one-piece swimsuit. Very, very X-rated, I thought. You know, really, really revealing outfit. And she did it twice. Once in relation to their summer holidays with Archie, Lily, and Harry at the sea. And again, diving into a swimming pool with some balloons on her birthday. So why is she, I mean, you know, she's obviously, she's got a, you know, she's an attractive woman and she's in good shape, but why is she displaying her body so provocatively at the moment?
well, that is what female stars, female actresses, females do when they are desperate. That is a sign of desperation. You know, when they can't get attention for either for wearing something that looks nice but isn't very revealing, or they can't get attention for other kinds of things, they stoop to that. You know, Britney Spears is an example of that. You know, ever since they took away her guardian, you know, she has been going down, her mental health has been deteriorating. And part of that, you see her in either very revealing clothes or no clothes. And like she did something the other day, I'm talking about Britney Spears, not Meghan, although Meghan might learn from her. Britney did a video where she was laying on top of a car, laying through the roof of a car, spread out on the top of a car. I mean, it was sad. It was really kind of desperate. It's like somebody, you know, come love me kind of thing. It was really, really bad. So yes.
Well, that's why these people wind up in show business, because they've got a hole inside of themselves that needs to be filled. And the way they try to fill that, I guess, Dr. Carole, is attention, clicks, making a bit of noise and having people talk about you and look at you.
Yes, absolutely. That is what it is from. And if Meghan would tell you why it is in her case, she'd blame it on her father, but we know that's not true. I just wanted to mention a couple of more things about Meghan. One is, let's see, wait a minute. Okay, yes. First of all, I'm worried about her going back to the UK. Because I'm worried about her, not for her, but for Kate. Because remember, we've talked about how Meghan seemed to be the kiss of death with Philip and the Queen, and then Kate got cancer, and the King got cancer, and you know, and I don't mean obviously that she transmitted it to them in any kind, like get a virus or anything, but the stress of what she was doing, you know, the bad ways she was talking about the royal family, and you know, all of that. We've talked about how I think that was a contributing factor to their dying. So I worry about Kate if Meghan goes back to England. And in particular, I mean, Kate and William are not happy about them coming back, first of all, as I'm sure you know. And do you remember that there was a picture? I think, and I think I've said this to you before, that I think that Meghan's plan was all along, you know, when she came to England because she was dating Harry, and I think they had gotten engaged, and she came over there. I think her plan all along was to get William, despite the fact that William was already married. But I think that was her underlying fantasy, that then she could be the Queen of England. And there's a picture, a photograph of them on the balcony from some years ago, but it was when she was there, obviously. There's a picture that catches her looking up at William with this look like, I don't know that I can do it, but kind of like with this secret sort of, I'm going to get you kind of look.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like a wild animal looking at its prey. Now, of course, Dr. Carole, we have to be abundantly clear that the Sussexes will deny any link between their behavior and the illness suffered by key members of the royal family. That's never anything that we can prove. But you're entitled to suggest, as a medical professional, that the stress that Harry and Meghan brought on the family, whether it was the Queen, who was battling cancer, whether it was Catherine, whether it was Charles, this stress cannot have helped. And you're absolutely right to point that out. And so you've got this situation now. I totally agree with you. Meghan, by the way, would so happily marry William. She would marry him tomorrow, Dr. Carole.
Yes, she would. Absolutely, she would marry him tomorrow.
Why do these people like Meghan, why does she always have to have, the #1 slot? Because it's my understanding that when she married Harry, he was less rich than she thought he was. And she was horrified that they would be living in a smaller house than William and Catherine. And she was horrified that Harry was the spare and would never take to the throne and would always be a minor royal. What is it about someone like Meghan that wants to be queen and is not happy just to be Princess Megs?
Well, it's kind of what we were talking about with the narcissism predominantly the narcissism. She has to be #1, absolutely.
Right.
And imagine how much more attention she would get if she was the queen as opposed to Harry's wife, even though she got she still gets quite a lot as it is.
Dr. Carole, there is another element to this narcissistic personality type, isn't it? And of course, we'll just stress it's just our opinion based upon Meghan's behavior, but it's certainly my theory that she's, got that personality type. We talked about the ego, always right, the pretend victimhood, poor me. Whenever you criticize Meghan or call out her double standards, she frames it as an attack. All of these things are traits of a narcissist. But the other big element that we need to discuss is just how destructive these people are.
Yes, narcissists are destructive.
They are. Meghan is a wrecking ball. Let's not dress it up, Dr. Carole.
That's true. Meghan is a wrecking ball, absolutely. And she has been wrecking Harry ever since they got together. Well, maybe not at the very beginning, because she was too busy pretending she was Diana, to manipulate him, to get him to marry her at the very beginning. But, Harry is really kind of a shadow of his former self. He's trying to get back to himself. Excuse me. But, Harry realized who Meghan was when, in that first Netflix documentary, when there was the scene where she was doing the curtsy, making fun of doing a curtsy to the Queen. He looked at her, in this way like, yes, exactly. Like, who did I marry? Oh, wait, you're like that? And I don't think he's ever recovered. I don't think, he hasn't forgotten that. And
I completely agree. That was the wake-up call, because he loved his grandmother. He admired her. And as you know, Dr. Carole, she's an icon of British history. Her first prime minister was Winston Churchill, for goodness sake. So Harry was aware of that, this amazing figure that she was, and Meghan is mocking him, horrified that he let that play out, that he could sit next to his wife as she mocked his grandmother. And amazing, Dr. Carole, that after that interview, after that recording, Harry didn't storm over to the executive producer and say, "You are cutting that scene, otherwise there is no show." And I want to ask you, why is Harry so irredeemably weak? Why does he let Meghan mock Queen Elizabeth on national TV? Why does he allow her to help write that awful book, Spare, which was so damaging to the royal family? Why did he sit there in the company of Oprah Winfrey and allow the lie that there was a royal racist in the family to actually play out. Why is Harry so weak, Carole?
Well, yes, he unfortunately is. And you know, it's because part of him was angry at the royal family for his mother's death. And in part, you know, remember I always used to say that, well, Meghan is a bad girl, and Harry got trapped by a bad girl. And, you know, a gold digger bad girl, you know, it wasn't just so much gold, it was the royalty, you know, the whole prestige and all that. But, so I used to say, or I used to think and used to say that, that, you know, poor Harry, he got totally manipulated, taken advantage of by this witch, this bad girl. And, but you know, then I came to realize that it wasn't totally, I mean, yes, that is true, but also he actually was enjoying some of her putting down of the royal family, because he had a lot of that for years that he couldn't do anything about. Like he was too weak. He didn't speak out enough about what he thought, you know, like, you know, the idea, is there any truth to the fact that they had this, it was all planned that they were going to kill Diana, you know, even just the being spare, you know, the whole, like, there were lots of things he didn't like. And so in a way, he took advantage of Meghan being the loudmouth, being willing to say it, you know, since he couldn't.
I totally agree. I think you're so right, Carole. He allowed Meghan to be the attack dog and in some ways do the dirty work. And he's like, yeah, go after my family. You know, literally say what you like because I'm so angry. And this is where I want to get now to Harry's personality type, because it strikes me, Carole, that he's in a dark place, that he's quite a depressed personality. You see that with the body language, the hunched shoulders, the sad eyes. He can barely crack a grin even when, you know, he's on TV with the cameras rolling. Unlike Meghan, he's not a performer. And I think that it's so obvious just looking at Harry that he's not happy. But I think it's worse than that, Carole, because I think this guy is driven by anger and rage. We see that with his decision to sue the Daily Mail without solid evidence. 97 claims against the publishers of the Daily Mail, all thrown out by the judge. At one point, the judge had to actually admonish Harry and say, can you please calm down and not do the job of your lawyers in prosecuting this case? So tell me about Harry's anger, because I think it's a big, big problem.
Well, anger, or depression, I should say, is anger directed inward.
Right.
So, you know, to the extent that he feels unable to express it outwardly, he puts it in towards himself. Also, you know, I think he has a dependent personality because he was never able to get sufficient love from his mother. I mean, sufficient nurturing. Granted, he was older when she died, but still, that trauma has really stolen a lot from him, and he still is suffering from that because he never got the proper therapy for it. You know, I mean, I remember looking into that. You know, that he only got like very superficial kinds of therapy, not going into it deeply. You know, how did you feel at this moment and that moment, and getting him to cry weeks upon weeks or years upon years. You know, deep therapy. He didn't get that, and so he's still carrying that grief.
Dr. Carole, could you treat Harry and could you help him? If so, what would you do?
Yes, I would love to treat Harry. I would put him on my couch, and I would, you know, not literally. He doesn't have to lay down. He can sit up. But I would go through his childhood. Go through his childhood. Have him express. You know, first of all, you start by talking about the current things, and then you relate them to his childhood. And you talk about his depression. You get him to acknowledge his depression, and so the fact that he's still grieving his mother. And then you get to talk about, you know, all like his whole childhood, the good and the bad, his feelings throughout. and how much he still misses his mother, and how Meghan is, is no substitute, even though she pretended to be. All those
Well,
kinds
because
of things.
Dr. Carole, it's my view that if Harry was well and enjoyed good mental health, he would never have chosen someone like Meghan. It strikes me that Meghan is an opportunist who will see a damaged figure like Harry and capitalize.
Yes, that's what bad girls do. They find a wounded bird. They find a sitting duck. I called it in my book. They find sitting ducks, and Harry was a sitting duck, who needed someone to give him the kind of attention and love that she acted as though she was giving him.
Well, is it love? Or is it love? I mean, why did Harry fall for Meghan? Was it love, or was it what they call love bombing, which is quite different, isn't it?
Yes, it was more love bombing, right? I don't really
Can
think
you explain, for our audience that don't know, can you explain what love bombing is and why
Sure.
it's not a good thing?
Love bombing is, first of all, choosing a partner who is very much in need of love, very much, very needy of love, and then going through all the motions, being there for them, having.
And it's fake, isn't it? It's manufactured and it's temporary. And it's withdrawn later when the ring is on the finger.
Yes. And it's really like, doing one thing after the other, gifts and sex and hugging and affection and, everything, being there all the time, being around, not letting the person think or breathe, all they see is your surrounding them with love, or, is what you get them to believe.
And Dr. Carole, I know you need to run because you're the busiest woman, not just with your many patients, but also with your broadcasting work. So before we let you go, and I can assure you my audience are just going to be loving every second of this, and I pray that you come back. And also, actually, I do want to mention that when I was fired from GB News, which was a crazy decision because my ratings were incredible, you were one of the few people that supported me and offered your services on my brand new channel, and I cannot thank you enough, and it's so great to have you back. Before you go, Tom Bower, our mutual friend, of course, a brilliant journalist, the author of 2 books about the Sussexes, takes the opinion that Harry still loves Meghan. Do you agree with that?
Harry may think that he loves Meghan because he wouldn't want to admit to himself that this was all fake or that she manipulated him. So he may believe that, but if you look at him these days, in photos and videos, there ain't much love coming from him, from his body language, like he puts her hand away, or his the way he looks at her. No, you don't really see it anymore.
He could be so happy, Carole, with the right girl.
Yes. Yes, he needs someone who's not fake, he's basically authentic. He's been made to be fake a little bit through Meghan, but he's basically authentic, which is why, to go back full circle, which is why he really loves the time that he's in the UK, because he can be him, especially if she's not there, or at least if she's not in the room. He feels more real, there.
Dr. Carole Lieberman is America's psychiatrist. It's the biggest booking we've had in the history of the channel. Dr. Carole, we cannot wait to have you back. You will find Dr. Carole at terroristtherapist.com. Carole, have a great day. We'll speak soon.
Thank you. You too.